If you're having a wrist pain, a numbness in your palm, index or middle fingers, or weakness in your hand, most likely you're facing a carpal tunnel syndrome or CTS. CTS is a medical condition due to compression of the median nerve. It's mainly caused by repetitive wrist and hand use in certain positions for prolonged periods of time, such as using your computer mouse. If wrist pain is waking you up at night, or it became hard to grab things like a pen or a fork, you should be contacting your therapist right away, as ignoring CTS symptoms can lead to muscle atrophies and nerve damage becoming permanent. No panic though, as in most cases doing simple wrist and hand stretching exercises, along with removing or limiting the cause of CTS, are enough to get things back to normal. But hey, I can't just stop using a mouse or limit its use to 1 hour a day. Yeah, that's what I thought too back in the day. So I did some extensive research, which led me to this ergonomic vertical mice. These mice are designed in a way that when you're holding them, it's done in a natural handshake position, this way not compressing median nerve, thus not leading to the CTS. There are lots of them available on the market. I tried around 10 options, and these two are my favorite ones. Both are great for small to medium-sized hands, and in my opinion will not be comfortable for those of you who have large hands. The first one is from Anker, and I bought it over 2 years ago. It costs less than $30. It's a wireless mouse, unfortunately no Bluetooth support, but still the USB dongle is quite small and I had faced zero connectivity issues. By the way, all links to the tech mentioned in this video will be in the description down below. Button layout is classic. On this side we have one button for the left click, one button for the right click, the scroll wheel, which is clickable of course. On the other side we have two buttons for forward and back, and on the top we have a small DPI switch. On the bottom we have on-off switch, the receiver slot and the battery compartment for two AAA type batteries. This mouse enters power saving mode after 8 minutes idle, and to wake it up you have to press one of the buttons. It has the LED strip to show you if there is no connection or the battery is running out. Also it flashes when you switch the DPI level to let you know which one you have chosen. Second mouse, which I use more often, is from Delux. The model is called M618C and I have it for over a year now. This mouse is inspired by Logitech MX Vertical, provides the same 57 degrees design, and I found it really comfortable. This mouse is 5 times cheaper than the one from Logitech and costs around 18 bucks. Of course, materials and overall build quality is worse in comparison to Logitech and even comparing to Anker. For example, here with Delux you can hear something like this when pressing on the top side, and you can see a bit of buttons wobbling. But in a day-to-day use, when you're holding it and pressing all the buttons, you can't tell that it's made cheap. Of course, you are not pressing the top side. That's just an ordinary plastic, not soft touch like here in Anker. By the way, it has held strong for over 2 years now, no visible issues, still feels pretty great. Even in the zones where you click, there is no visible wear to this soft touch material. And mouse from Anker is more solid in terms of build quality, as it produces zero excessive sounds when you're trying to squeeze it. Let's return to comparing this one to Logitech MX Vertical. With this mouse you don't get Bluetooth connectivity, cross-computer support with Logitech Flow and high-precision sensor. For my day-to-day use, these features were not able to justify MX Vertical's price, which is a bit less than $100 in US and over $130 here in Ukraine. Oh, and with Delux you get this colorful LED strip on the top side as opposed to Logitech MX Vertical. The colors can't be changed, it can't be switched off, but it doesn't bother because it's not too bright even in the darkest environments. Mouse is wireless, and the USB dongle is stored in battery compartment, so it will be really hard to lose. Almost the same classic button layout. We have two buttons here for the left click and for the right one, the scroll wheel with a click, the DPI switch, and here we have the forward and the back buttons. By the way, these buttons are placed differently than on Logitech MX Vertical, where they are placed on top, and in my opinion, this placement is better, so it's really easy to press them with your finger. On the bottom we have on-off switch, the battery compartment for one AA battery, and as I have mentioned, the slot for the receiver. Both mice have 4 legs on the bottom. Delux has bigger ones. I believe all of them are plastic. With Anker, that I was using for 2 years straight, they haven't worn out. In terms of battery life, I do use rechargeable batteries for both of these mice, and Delux holds around a month. I believe that's due to the LED, which is on every time you're using the mouse. And Anker lasts around 1.5 or maybe 2 months, depending on the use. Which one should you choose? If you have the opportunity, try as many vertical mice as you can. It's more complicated to find the one that fits you comparing to traditional mice. From my standpoint, Delux M618C, this naming, is way to go, as they have heavily relied on Logitech's research and development of MX Vertical and made a cheaper alternative without sacrificing anything critical.
Да ну господи, нажмишь ты на нее, нажимай, да, молодец.
Its shape is great, the buttons are easy to click, and it's comfortable enough to the point when you forget that you're using a vertical mouse and not a traditional one, at least for major tasks. For gaming, I would recommend picking a common mouse or a controller. Vertical mice are great, but they have their own downsides. First of all, there is definitely a learning curve. For a couple of hours or maybe even days, using a vertical mouse will seem weird or even unpleasant. In my case, I even felt some strain in my forearm for the first 2 or 3 days after switching to the vertical mice. Oh, and until you get used, this will happen. And this will happen a lot. Thing is, vertical mice are taller than the ordinary ones. And when you try to grab the mouse after you have done something with the keyboard or anything like that, you are not grabbing it. You are just turning it over or pushing it away. Still, this won't be an issue when you will get used to it. Precision movements with vertical mice are not that precise if comparing to traditional ones. That's not a big deal for office use or even something like video editing, but if you're planning on using a vertical mouse for gaming, graphics or painting, this will be a real issue. With a vertical mouse, you are relying heavily on your forearm movements rather than movements of your wrist. That will cause additional strain to your forearm. Luckily, those muscles will become exercised enough in a matter of days and will handle your new mouse perfectly. But be sure that you are sitting in the right position so your forearm is not lower than your wrist. Best option is to use a chair with an armrest at around the same height as your table. And one more thing to consider about vertical mice is limited choice. there are not as much options to choose from when comparing to traditional computer mice market. And if you are left-handed, that narrows your choice down to a handful of models. By the way, Delux has a mouse designed for left-hand use with inbuilt battery, Bluetooth support and high-precision sensor. I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out. To summarize the video, I want to tell that in my case, doing light exercises for the wrist a couple times a day and using this vertical mice has helped me to overcome the CTF completely. Many thanks for watching this video up until its end. If you found it useful, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel to stay tuned for more videos.